He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, my friends. This is Hour 3. I'm Mark Levin. Our number, 877-381-3811. 877-381-3811. Ladies and gentlemen, I found the statement by this guy Clapper, the head muckety-muck of all our intelligence operations, to be so outrageous. I had to ask to come and listen with me, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. Zuhdi, how are you?
Great, Mark. It's good to be with you.
That's always a pleasure. I want to play this audio. Excuse me. Tell me if I'm missing something, okay? Mr. Producer, go.
The term Muslim Brotherhood is an umbrella term for a variety of movements. Right. In the case of Egypt, a very heterogeneous group, largely secular, which has eschewed violence and has decried al-Qaeda as a perversion of Islam.
Now, Zuhdi Jasser, you're president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy. What do you make of a statement like this?
Oh, my God. I mean, we formed our entire organization after 9/11 in order to combat political Islam and the offshoots of the Brotherhood across the world. And for the head of our intelligence not to understand that there's going to be violent and nonviolent permutations of that ideology that are going to have internecine battles. Sure, the Brotherhood's going to eschew the Al-Qaedas of the world because they outed their goals. They did it violently and very openly. But at the end of the day, to say that they're secular is just bizarre because they would have to disavow their entire charter of existence, which is about establishing Islamic states, about putting into place Sharia law. I mean, it's even beyond naivete. This is the most significant conflict of the 21st century, everywhere from the Taliban in Afghanistan to Iraq to now in Egypt. We're seeing this, obviously, and then homegrown terrorism. Just yesterday, Leiter and Napolitano were saying that we have the biggest threat of homegrown terrorism ever, and the number one threat is Imam al-Awlaki, who was a moderate, supposedly moderate imam after 9/11, and went down the slippery slope of the Brotherhood slope. So I am just horrified.
Yeah, I'm really worried about this because obviously this gentleman Clapper has Obama's ear. He's advising him. Do you think they're intentionally trying to dumb down knowledge about this group because they want to deal with this group?
I think you're seeing a combination of a number of mishaps from this administration. Number one is they have some Islamists within the administration, whether it's Dalia Mujahid or others that are basically in the ear of the White House on their interfaith council saying, oh, there's nothing wrong with the Brotherhood. You've also got other parts of the administration that really don't have a clear ideology that they stand for. They don't look upon America as purely the land of freedom and liberty, that we stand as the city on the hill about the First Amendment and freedom and the Establishment Clause, but rather are a bit confused about what we are and their apologetics. So a lot of these things come together, and you see when a crisis like this in Egypt, when we need a president and an administration that makes it clear what we are and who we stand for and what we stand against, where you can stand against the Mubarak thugs of the world while also making it clear that we want to empower the Egyptian people to make sure they don't replace it with a theocracy like Iran did. But yet we just want to stick our fingers up in the wind and see which way it's blowing and go with that. I mean, it's frightening.
Well, it's amazing to me, with all the comments by the President and the Secretary of State, they have not condemned the Muslim Brotherhood and said, you know what? You know, we would support a democratic movement and support a democracy that excludes the Muslim Brotherhood. In fact, they're saying, well, we understand they have to reach out to them. No, they don't. Well, anyway.
Exactly. I mean, this is because it violates their entire premise of many of the groups they're dealing with in America and many of their, basically their big tent. I mean, their new White House counterterrorism expert has has been discussed on Voice of America and on NPR as saying that, well, he has a big tent approach to domestic and foreign counterterrorism. Well, I'm sorry, big tent approach, what that does, I'll tell you, as a Muslim and as a Arab with a family from Syria, it lifts up tribally these theocratic groups so that the rest of us that are trying to reform our faith, to get it into modernity, to separate mosque and state, to try to get the liberal Muslims, the classically liberal Muslims empowered, it makes it 100 times more difficult where you have the administration of the most powerful country in the world lifting up theocrats. It's just, I don't think they have any insight into what damage they do to the future of freedom for Muslims.
Let me ask you a question that's not specifically related. I've been wondering, and if you don't want to answer, you don't have to. Do you ever get threats?
I don't get any physical threats yet, but boy, I can tell you, the Islamists get riled up because they don't know how to respond. They'd rather attack me personally, so we get hate mail and Uncle Tom type things and the quote unquote house Muslim comments. But at the end of the day, it tells me I'm saying the right thing, because we also get hundreds of Muslims that thank me for what I'm saying, that say that, we've been looking for a voice, but we didn't want to take on the tribal brotherhood mentality that think they speak for all Muslims. And, I think at the end of the day, we have to do this because there is no other way, Mark, around counterterrorism. If you just fight the tactic, we're going to lose this. We're going to lose it domestically and abroad. But if we fight the ideology of political Islam and Sharia, we're going to win this, because it's freedom. Every individual from Cairo to Indonesia to America, we all want to live free of government coercion, whether it's based on how we practice our faith or taxation or whatever it is. And that's the message I think the White House doesn't want to articulate very clearly.
I want to reinforce your Islamist point. The gentleman I do my banking with, most of it, is a Muslim gentleman from Pakistan. He is disgusted with the fundamentalist stuff. Another buddy of mine is a Muslim. He's from Afghanistan. And these are gentlemen who've lived in these environments with the Taliban or have lived in these environments with the radicals. And they say, this group CARE simply does not represent me and who I am and what my family believes and everything, and yet they get all this face and airtime. So that's got to be frustrating, too.
It really is. And what's amazing is these groups now are all coming out with press releases saying Mubarak has to go, and CARE did a piece on Iranian TV 2 days ago on Press TV. CARE did an 8-minute piece saying how America needs to get out of there and stop determining who's going to do what, and they need to make sure the Mubarak regime goes away. Well, where were these groups when the Green Revolution was happening in Iran last summer? Not only did the White House abandon them after 3 weeks, but these groups were silent. So to them, it's not about just democracy and freedom. It's about promoting the ascendancy of political Islam, Islamist groups, and the Brotherhood. And I hope someday America and the world wakes up to what these groups, all these different permutations from CARE to ISNA, they have one agenda, and that's political Islam and the ascendancy of the Islamic State.
Well, folks, we had Dr. Jasser, Zuhdi Jasser, on this program before most people did, Zuhdi, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
And now you know why. You're absolutely brilliant, and you're courageous as hell, and it is a pleasure to have you, my friend.
Well, anytime. This battle is just starting. It's generational, and I'm trying to, I think our legacy for all of us is to leave a world for our kids that they understand that there's something great about America. It's why my parents came here, and we're not going to let it just wither away because we want to go which way the wind's blowing, but we're going to do like Reagan and call evil evil where it is and stay by the principles of our nation.
Right on. All right, you take care of yourself, okay?
Thanks, Mark. God bless.
All right, take care. Good man. Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to get back to something else.